What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on the Pool Focus Podcast. I'm Quentin, and today's guest is an amazing photographer out of Fairmont, West Virginia. He not only has his own studio, but he also travels the country. He's also shot a lot of Appalachia here, West Virginia, as well. So, in my opinion, is just a fantastic artist. So, without further ado, Mr. Jared Tadlock, how are you doing?
What's up? Super glad to be here. Thanks for having me on today and for saying all those nice things just a second ago. I appreciate that.
It's really cool because I think I really started following you around like 2019. It was around COVID time, I believe. And actually, no, it's before that because before COVID, I worked at Alson Broadus University. And one of my positions there was like assistant marketing director. So I was continuing to look at like surrounding people and just like when you know somebody that, because I found you from Fairmont and you shot a lot with them and everything. And I was like, dude, who is this cat that's taking these crisp photos? And like, it was just like something I was like, I got to follow. Because in West Virginia, there's just not a lot of media presence, I don't think, unless you're like W or like, Marshall or something, but then you guys had Fairmont there, and I was like, gee whiz, everything they was putting out was like good and stuff. So
yeah, it's cool, man. The creative community in West Virginia it's really small, and because of that, it's easy to like meet people, especially online, that are involved in like different facets, and especially when it comes to like higher ed marketing, when you're not one of like the big two in the state, you know, you're not WVU or you're not Marshall, and I've kind of, bumped elbows with a couple of the other guys and people that were at other institutions. Just, when you're at those smaller schools, there's like a hustle to it. It's like a one-man band a lot of the times. And so, that would have been in 2018 is when I moved here to the state. And I worked in the marketing department at Fairmont State for, it was like 4.5 years. Yeah. So
I feel like a lot of that time from like 2018 to 2023 it's like a blur. I've said that so many times on these episodes is that, a lot of people was either starting to get into, like for me, I was starting to get into a really creative flow. And then I moved down here in 2019 and I was like, oh, I have people, I have locations. And then all of a sudden everything shut down. And then I'm just sitting there in my house. Couldn't, you didn't feel like you could leave. You didn't know what to do. And I was like, you felt like you had to create and everything. And, but it gave me a good time to kind of catch up on things because I know I reached out to you and stuff when I was redoing my website because I did kind of like a version of what this podcast is I was putting blogs on there and stuff, and I was trying to, reintroduce people as well because like there's so many of like, oh, I found you from this area or I found you from there, but it's like, there's so much to go around. Your work will speak for itself, and it's kind of interesting. It's like when people see like, the artistic side of it and see that you can do a really good job, people is just like, they're automatically like, oh, where have you been or something like that. But like, no, I've been here the whole time, So like, that's what my whole goal for it is kind of like, just share the wealth, just go out there. And there's so many talented people here in West Virginia, and it's just like we're always like, you look through the media, you look through just even our own state and our own neighbors and stuff, people's like oh, it's just West Virginia, like, but it was like I don't want to be last in something, I hate being the underdog, and I just like, no, let's show people that we have smart individuals, we have very creative, very knowledgeable people that just needs to have a platform, So.
And I remember the web feature and the blog, and you put Tyler on there as well.
He was supposed to do I think 2 weeks ago, but he ended up having kidney stones, and he's like, I feel so bad. I really want to. I was like, no, I've been there before, so don't even worry about it. And so
Tyler, salute, brother. Godspeed. That sounds not fun, but get better. Looking forward to hearing you on the couch on the pod.
He's another one that I think we kind of like, because I was up in that area, and since you're actually one of the first ones I think from up north. I've had a lot of people down here in Charleston, Huntington area and stuff. So I'm excited just to get some people like different parts of the state.
Oh yeah, North Central West Virginia, man. And that's what's, I'm not super familiar with this area because I don't come down here too often. But yeah, there's a big talent pool in this part of the state. It seems like, North Central, there's a bunch of people in like the greater Morgantown area. I kind of consider myself a part of that, even though I'm in Fairmont. Then you have like the Charleston, Huntington crew, and then Beckley's got some really good photographers down there as well.
Fayetteville, Beckley,
Fayetteville, Beckley. They did there was that show, gosh, it must have opened up, it was probably like a month ago. It seems like it was like last weekend, but time doesn't make sense right now. Is the Daily New River photo show. And it was a bunch of these dudes that I've been following on Instagram. I really wanted to try and get down to that show, but I couldn't. But they're doing, it's at the Love Hope Arts Gallery, I think, in downtown.
Very familiar, actually.
I'm probably butchering it. I apologize. It's like art. I think it's Love Hope Art Center.
Oh, cool.
It's like a gallery down there, and they put together a really good photo show. And again, it's like a couple of those dudes I've known from like being on social, but then I was looking at the other photos that they like featured, like in a little promo. And it's like, it's some really incredible photography. And what's cool is like, even in a place like Fayetteville, there's guys that shoot like all different styles. And so, no, I think what you're doing here is super cool. Cause again, like West Virginia, if you're not on 79, you kind of feel like you're a little like cut off. And so having like a platform like this, how cool, man. Just again, to like show love to other creatives and people in the state and create a venue for those voices and ideas to be shared. So,
it's also a cool thing too, is like, if, I try to tell like all the guests and stuff as well, like this is an opportunity for you to get like content too that's just like kind of given to you as well. So it's just like you can market as many times, and just because you've been on it once does not mean you can't be on it again. You could be like, you could do something 6 months from now and you're just like, hey, I want to know if I can like plug this, and be like, let's get you on there. Like the thing is that I would rather have people come on and just talk art, vent, just kind of like talk shop in a way, than just somebody that's just like constantly just like me. I'm just like, no, let's talk about us as a whole, and like how we, because like there's stuff that you'll shoot that I'll probably never ever get to, and then and vice versa, so it's like we can learn from so many of us, just because we all have talents and we're all professionals in our own right and stuff as well. But no, that's so cool. Like you mentioned Fayetteville and stuff too. I know so many people down there as well, because ever since it got named a national park, before I went full time, I worked at Glenville State for about 6 months. Didn't like it as much as I thought I would, and then that's the reason why this kind of was the choice. I was like, I want to do it. But before there, the reason why I moved down here is I worked for West Virginia Tourism for 4 years. So I got to see a whole different level of like, I think our state on a media side of things that I didn't even know that we was like part of and stuff. And Fayetteville was like one of those prime examples. There was so much of when it got announced to as a national park, like you got people and visitors from all over the country that's coming in, and you're just like, really, like Fayetteville, like it's like mind blowing, because I think we just kind of like we don't take advantage of it as much as we should, is of right in our backyard and stuff. And I always wonder, like, does other creatives think that same way of like, places in like, at the Grand Canyon or like, Niagara Falls or something like that. You know, it's like, surely, like I would want to like benefit from it, but I guess it's just more of like a perspective thing, and you see it and stuff. So,
well, and that's the thing. Like a lot of times if you grow up next to something, you get like used to it. Like I was raised in Colorado. I lived there in the mountains from when I was like 7, 8 until, I don't know, the majority of my high school career. And, I had a lot of kids I went to school with that like we lived like in the mountains, and they would never go out like further to like, the big mountain, like, we were at like 8,500 feet above sea level, which is very high up, but they would never go out to like Breckenridge, not even just to ski, because I know that is like, it's gotten more expensive now, but like not even just to like go visit or go hike and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think you used to become like desensitized to your region. And that's what I see a lot, especially up in like the Fairmont region.
Yeah.
We are like an hour and a half from Thomas and Davis. We've got Cooper's Rock, we've got Ohio Pile and all that stuff. And it is like super, super close, but there's still not a lot of people that get out and like photograph those, which I'm fine with, because when I like going outside, I like not being around other people. That's one of the reasons why like I'm so thankful for growing up in Colorado, but I'm not going to go back there again because it's like you have to like fight for a parking spot, and there's like a million people with cameras. And that's the one thing like with West Virginia is like, I don't know, it feels like a little more wild. And a little more, secluded. But at the same time, with like places like Fayetteville and, the national park designation, like, I know for me, like when I travel out there, a couple times a year, I start to notice like there's more and more people that are coming in. But yeah, it's always interesting, because it's like when you grow up around something, you're just like used to it, like. When I was a kid growing up in Colorado, it was like, like there's these really beautiful mountains around me, but like, who cares? Like, I see it every day. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
But then like I went and lived in some flat states. It was like in Ohio for like a bit, and then Kansas. And then you go back and you were like, whoa, like I was taking this for granted for like so many years.
I don't realize how much it is, like how much I miss it until I don't see the mountains anymore and stuff. And like I don't say like I've traveled a lot, but for my family and stuff, I've probably traveled the most and stuff. Like no one else in my family has ever, been on an airplane or anything before. So like I already feel like I have like a leg up and stuff. But I've been to the States that I'm just like, no, I don't get it. Unless you're in like the touristy spots, it's nothing, and I'm just like, for here, I mean, every holler, every like hill, every, I mean, I don't know. We was talking last week. I was talking to the guest, and his name is Joe Dyer. He's from Beckley, and he's been out in LA for the last 3 years, and he's been doing filmmaking out there. And he was like, one of the things that he just missed was just the West Virginia sunset versus the LA sunset. He says there's nothing to a West Virginia sunset. Like you would go out there, he said, but you see one orange LA one, and you're just like, okay. But you just like, he was like, nah, I want that West Virginia. Like, I want that. I was like, that's very, because I would not look at that. Because me as a creative or just like a portrait photographer, I'm just like, no, I want that LA like type of vibe. But I mean, as soon as you leave, you notice it and stuff. I mean, I shot a wedding last year, and I was all the way in Ohio, and where the more analytical part that came into like the golden hour was that I was like, okay, yeah, we're going to have a golden hour here in an hour. And then I didn't realize how flat it was. And then I was looking at my app and I was trying to do the math. I was like, no, the sun's still up for like another hour. Like right now, it would have been already down a hill, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, down when you're like, I mean, where we're at now, like sun goes down like 45 minutes before Google says you're going to see the last sunlight.
And I'm just like, I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, it's because it's so flat. There's no hills here. And I was like, so it was like 8:30, and it was a June wedding. I actually, they're going to have their anniversary here in the next week, actually. So, I was like, well, I know it's like pretty late, but it was 8:45 before we got that golden hour. And I was like, that is, it was mind blowing. I was thinking about that the whole way home, because I was like, it's really interesting to know is like how other photographers, like you have to like, their golden hour is different every single time because of location and stuff. But I'm kind of like a nerd about that. Like I just kind of like, I could just think and analyze that like all the time and stuff. But yeah, you was mentioning like just you've lived in a few states and everything as well. Another thing too, the viewers may not know is like you had I don't know if you still have it, but you have the van, right? So how like do you do that like once a year? You just travel, or is this like you kind of go when you go? Yeah,
kind of go when I go. So yeah, it would have been like September of 2019. My wife and I went out camping to Summersville Lake. And we were out there. It was my wife's like first time actually going camping. She didn't grow up camping. When I was a kid, we'd go camping all the time. We did like tent camping, and then we graduated to like a pop-up. And then we had this like really sick old Pace Aero RV. And I was homeschooled up until high school. And so like all throughout middle school, we would take like big road trips essentially. And so like we did one with my mom and dad. We went from Colorado out to the Grand Canyon. We were gone for like a month and we lived out of the RV. And so like being on the road is something that I've always been like very familiar with. And so, you know, we went camping for the first time and my wife was like, yo, this is kind of nice. Yeah. She's like, if I could have like a good bed, like a consistent place to sleep, like, yeah, we can go camping. Yeah. And so when we were driving to go like buy some firewood out there, it was like, it wasn't like a wild campsite. It was like a commercial campsite on the lake. We were driving to go buy some firewood and I saw someone with a Sprinter van and I was like, ooh. Let me wait. I was like, I'm going to have this conversation a little bit. So I chatted with her about it and we kind of did like a little research and, spent the next like 6 or so months, you know, saving up and figuring out, you know, watching a million hours of like van build YouTubes. And we got a Ram ProMaster in, we bought it on December 31st, 2019, which was like looking back was the perfect time because when COVID happened, all the prices on like cargo vans and the outfit gear that you need, like for the roof fans and all the battery systems, all skyrocketed. So we jumped in right there at the beginning of COVID. We were building it out over the weekends, and then both of us got sent home to work. And so, you know, we'd work a couple hours at home, like. We were working on a COVID schedule, you know, of course it was a full 8 hours. I clocked in, I clocked out. I took a 15-minute lunch, but then we went out into the driveway and just worked on the van. And so we finished it over COVID and man, it's been so much fun for us. You know, we've kind of operated on like every other year we do a big road trip. And so the first year we had it, we did a big trip from West Virginia down to Big Bend National Park, which is like southern Texas. It's like on the border with Mexico. We went to Big Bend, and then we went up to Grand Canyon, and then we hit the 5 national parks in Utah. Did Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado, and then came back. So it was like it was a month-long trip. That one was kind of a bummer because that was before I was teaching, and so I had a more strict summer. So I had to like plan in advance. The only time I could make it happen was during June. So we were in like southern Texas in June. We were in Grand Canyon in June, and it was like it's already like wicked hot, but it was like a historic heat wave at the time. So we had our 2 little dogs with us. So that one was just kind of like a driving tour. We didn't really get a chance to do much, and then. This last summer in was it? I guess it's 2023. We did just about a month. Did a trip out from Fairmont to. We're just trying to hit national parks. So we did Indiana Dunes National Park, which is like really cool. It was on Great Lake up there. Which one is that? It's on Chicago.
Michigan.
Yeah, Lake Michigan. That's it. I should know that.
I just know it from Shameless.
Yeah,
that's all I know. But
we did Indiana Dunes, which is right there in Indiana. We then went out to like the Badlands, Yellowstone, Glacier up into Alberta and back. So,
dude, my wife and I, we've been trying to plan for a while. It was ever since 2019. Actually, we just wanted to plan a massive trip out west, and we've been wanting to. And I have like 50-50 like thoughts on it because we kind of mentioned it earlier about how you get to some of these places, and as a photographer and as creative, like you just want to like capture your own style and do it and stuff. But when you get there, you see like hundreds of people in the same spot. So that, I don't know if it scares, it makes me anxious, I think, more than anything, because the part of me is like, I want those places to be preserved forever and stuff. And a really good story about that is Horseshoe Bend in
have you been?
No, I haven't. And so, but like the whole conversation of that like everything on Instagram, everything you see used to never be like a overlook. It was all from people's traffic and stuff, and just going there. And then they eventually had to make one there. I'm just like, I love that because somebody's like appreciating that, but at the same time, they're changing and it's evolving too much too rapidly. I think maybe, I don't know. Like I just want people to be like, give it time to breathe, you know, and not ruin it for future generations, I guess, and stuff, and just kind of be appreciative of little things like that. But yeah, also it's just like you want people, like tourism is one of the biggest, you know, driven factors of our nation, of like, you know, when it comes to international visitors and stuff. I mean, they come here for specific reasons and stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's a battle, you know, but I want to go like out west and shoot anyway, because right now I'm like obsessed with just the whole like Nashville country. I don't even know what you call it and stuff, but like the golden tones of like Auburn and like whiskey, Kentucky bourbon is what I've been kind of calling it. Like I just know like if I'm in Joshua Tree or like Grand Canyon, those oranges and those reds, I was just like, I know I can like edit it well, but it's like, how am I going to like get to point A to point B, you know? And so, so she's pretty convinced though. We're trying to figure it out. She wants to do the Route 66 trip so bad. And my wife, I love her, but she doesn't have no sense of direction at all. So she doesn't understand that's like,
that's a long way to Route 66, dude.
So I told her, I was like, well, why don't we fly to Phoenix or like fly to, you know, Oklahoma City, and then at least do like half of it, because it starts all the way like I think in Chicago, and then goes all the way down to like somewhere in California. So I think, but it's like a lot of people just know it for like the more Arizona, New Mexico.
Yeah, we hit it in Arizona completely on accident. We were just like driving to go to the Grand Canyon, and we stopped. There's a Little Caesars pizza. We stopped and we were like, dude, let's just get a pizza for lunch. And ate the pizza, and then we turned on the road and we were like, what's all these signs about Route 66? And I looked at the map. I was like, oh yeah, we're on Route 66. But yeah, it was like 1,000,000 degrees down there, dude. But yeah, I mean, when you talk about the American Southwest, like it's like really easy to make a nice looking photograph, because the natural colors out there are so, I mean, it's all like monochrome, dude. It's all like yellows, or it's all oranges. It's all like so harmonious. Yeah, I mean, the American Southwest is, I don't know, it's having a resurgence. I think we're in this like cool, in art and music, like this country Americana is like
Zach Bryan vibes.
Yeah,
that's where I feel like he, and along with some other artists in the last 2 years, has brought that whole storytelling back. You know, and
it's like the honesty of like country music, and a lot of my favorite, you know, artists and like painters right now are all dealing with that like Southwest inspiration. But yeah, it's so, I mean, it's beautiful in its own way out there. Obviously, I'm looking out the windows here, and it's like nothing but green, and it's just such an exact opposite from what the majority of the country is, where it's all of these like very harmonious like reds and oranges, this natural color palette it's really easy to photograph, and it's really beautiful to see. Yeah, it's fun. You know, we spent time Grand Canyon. When we went to it, I wasn't super excited about it because I saw it when I was a kid. Of course, when I was a kid, I was like more interested in playing on like my Game Boy Color than actually seeing it. I was like, oh, that's cool, man. I'm playing Pokemon. But so when we planned that trip in 2021, I wasn't like super thrilled on seeing it. But like that's one of those things that like it's popular for a reason. Like it's unbelievable to see. I mean, it's like the colors, it's the textures, and you know, you get a lot of that in that region, in Utah and in Arizona, and then even like, you know, up in the Badlands, it's like a similar landscape, but the colors are all completely different up there. You know, it's more pale. There's some like greens thrown in there with some like you know, some of the fields, and like some white and like yellow like rock formations and stuff.
That's one thing, like going full time now, I'm trying to like get a mindset that everything's on my own schedule now. So like if I want to go do something like that, I can definitely do it. It's not something that's kind of like I need, like I think a lot of the time I'm still thinking that I'm on like a sort of a vacation, and I have to go back to work on Monday, you know, like that's, but I mean, I'm in my 3rd month now, and I was talking to my wife, and she's the only one that is like, we got to work on her schedule in a sense. But like I told her, I was like, you know, if I get opportunity to do something, like I'm going to do it, you know, like I'm just going to go now and do it. And that freedom is like also like super scary, and then like super, I don't know. I had a really cool moment the other day. I was editing, and I was just like going through my galleries and just going through stuff, and I'm just sitting there. I was like, dang, like I'm doing the damn thing. You know,
That's
it's
cool.
just really cool to know. And it's like, you know, like what's going to happen like 6 months from now and stuff, and just like continue to grow with it. But it's like those places where you see, I also don't want to, because like I've also read like different articles how it's like it's so hard to make a decision on something when you have so many options.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I have so many options. I was like, so I'm trying to like really be mindful of knowing, yes, I can go and do that, but also don't like overkill it and overdo it and stuff. Do it correctly. Do it, you know, plan it out. That way it's going to be enjoyable for me, you know, in the future and stuff as well. But the West is like, if I ever do like, which it could definitely be possible, like a series or something like that. Like that's one of the first places I want to go.
Do
and
it,
stuff.
man.
And, but no, that's so cool though. I mean, I know whenever I flew for the first time, I had a destination wedding in Hawaii, so we had to go from Charleston to.
That's your first flight?
Yeah,
Going across the ocean? Wow,
dude.
that's
And
nuts.
I can't swim, so like
Yeah.
I'm just like.
Brother,
bro,
I got bad news. If the plane's going down, you don't
I
need to
know.
worry
I
about
just was
swimming.
like, the picture's just going to be worth it. So that's all I was trying to like tell myself. But I didn't like from on land. I chose all the window seats because I was like, it's okay. Like I want to look out. I really want to enjoy this. But when we went from LA to Hawaii, I was like, nah, I'll just take the aisle seat and stuff. You can have the window. I don't want to like even see the ocean and stuff. And it was kind of cool because on the way back, it was all at night. So it kind of like made it a little bit more less anxious, and they just shut the lights off, and you're just kind of like just chilling, you don't think about it. But what was really cool was when we went from Chicago to LA, and and it was beautiful weather the whole way, and I'm just glued to that window, and you're seeing these mountains. It was in May too, and you still see like snow, and you're just like, you can't comprehend. Like I couldn't comprehend. I was like, dude, it's May right now. Why is there snow on these mountains and stuff? And then there's this elevation. Then you start going across. We went across Utah, and I'm assuming. It was probably Nevada. It was probably Nevada, Utah, and then like maybe Colorado and through there. I don't know. It was definitely the Rockies. And then it got red real quick.
Yeah.
You know?
Even like as soon as you hit Western Range or the Western Front in Colorado, it. Like Grand Junction, it changes drastically, man.
And I'm just looking down. I'm just seeing all the geological formations, and like the little 8-year-old Quentin was just like going crazy. I was just like, oh, that's a rock. That's a rock. And my wife was like just watching a movie over there, just chilling. It was her first time too, but she was like, you can have it. I was like, I just loved it though and stuff.
That's cool, man.
So I could only imagine it's like, you know, getting down there and just like seeing things. There's another formation. I think it's in Natural Arches there. It's like a giant like circle bend or whatever, but you can see like the different layers of like erosion of like from the water. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Delicate Arch. Delicate Arch is
like
it's like a big half circle with the arch on it. You can see like all the layers of sediment.
That place is just amazing. I follow a couple of National Geographic photographers, and they've shot some. I mean, they got the dream job. They're just out there shooting night photography and getting some of the amazing stuff. And but that's another thing that I'm trying to incorporate more here is there's a couple, and this is just the ones I know, it's just landscape photographers, but like we have so many amazing like landscape features with Seneca and New River Gorge and things like that. But like, and having the ability to see stars, you know, is another thing that we don't think of, that the rest of the country they don't see, you know.
I was up in Dolly Sods a couple weeks ago, dude. You could clearly see the Milky Way, like with your naked eye.
You up there during the
it was Northern Lights?
Oh,
dude. Nuts, dude.
I was
super cool.
I had a wedding the next day, so I couldn't plan anything. But my wife and I, we went. There's a place where up near the airport, and it's kind of nice because they have to have like pretty. All that whole area is completely like, you know. No lights or anything like that to confuse. So it's the darkest place here in Charleston, I would say. And so we went up there, and you could only see it on your phone and stuff, but it was still cool. I told her, I was like, I don't feel like it counted because I want to see it like in Alaska or something. Like I want to see it like in its full glory, I guess, and stuff. But she was like, no, it counts, blah blah blah. And stuff,
I'm still counting it. I'm counting it for myself, man. I did 9 days in Iceland in 2016.
Oh.
And the whole time it was like, oh, we're going to see the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
And it was full cloud cover every single night.
Wow.
So we didn't get to see it. And so I was always like, yeah, I'll go back, whether it's like Norway or Iceland again, to go see it eventually. And then little do I know, like, 7 years later, it was going to happen in like West Virginia. Yeah, it was something to see, man. It was really, really cool. That was a wild night.
I think one of the countries I really want to go to and stuff is to Ireland and shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, they have greens, but their greens is totally different, and it's just like and I'm obviously from the red hair and my last name Murphy and stuff like that. That's where my heritage is from. So like, I'm just like, I feel like if I shot there, my artistic like soul would have a little bit more of a connection, and I'd be like, for me, it would be like a little full circle moment.
Yeah.
But plus it's just like the people there, I feel like you're my type of vibe and stuff anyway. So
I lost a gig. I was going to be shooting in Ireland. It was like a 2-week thing. It was for an alcohol company, and I didn't get it. I was like 23 years old, but one of the requirements for the job was that you had to be 25, which I was like,
probably insurance maybe.
I have no idea what it was.
Yeah.
But when they sent me the email, I was like, oh yeah, I'm old enough to like consume alcohol. I'm old enough to shoot photos of it. And then they hit me back and like, oh.
I would say probably insurance. 25 is like always the cutoff for like insurance based type.
I was really bummed because it looks super pretty, and we're gonna get to go like do distilleries and all that kind of stuff and shoot photos. But maybe one of these days I'll get back.
So what's like your main setup that you kind of shoot with and stuff, or do you just use pretty much whatever? And
so I'm I don't know, man. One of the things I like firmly believe is that you don't need a top dollar setup to get good photos. I actively fight against that. I teach some at Fairmont State, and that's like one of my first lectures that I give, because I always meet students, and you meet people that are like really excited about photography, and they go on www.canon.com, go to cameras and sort by high price first. And they're like, oh, I guess the Canon R3 is the camera that I should go out and buy. When in reality, it's like, no, there are very few people on the planet that would actually have a Canon R5 and be like, I need more out of this camera. I need something bigger. So, dude, I'm a Canon R6 user. Okay.
R6 is a good one.
R6. I'm not an R6 Mark II. I think they came out with one. I don't need it. I sat down. I shot with a Canon 1DX Mark II for a handful of years. I was shooting a lot of sports at the time. It worked really well, but then I needed some video out of it. And so when I traded that in, I always, buy used. Dude, go to mpb.com, go to keh.com, buy an open box camera. I've never bought a single camera brand new. I buy them like new off of KEH or MPB every single time. But I sat down, I was like, do I need an R5? I was like, no, I don't. Looking back on it, I do. R6 doesn't have as many high megapixel count. Hasn't been an issue yet, but I could see if there's ever a time for me to do like architectural photography, it could be a little limited in that, because I think the R6's megapixels is like 23 or 22. Yeah. Again, for 95%, 99% of the average photographer user, 100% of the everyday photographer, that's enough megapixels.
Yeah.
I've shot campaigns that have gone on some like billboards on a camera that has like 20 megapixels.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah.
But as you start, working, as I'm starting to maybe get some other jobs, I'm like, it would be nicer to have a higher megapixel count. So I shoot on a Canon R6. I don't have a need for an R5. I want an R5, don't have a need for it. And then I shoot, I've got a 70-200 2.8 Canon, and it's like the Series 2, I believe. Bought it used off a friend before I went to Iceland in 2016. That thing is still trucking to this day. I've got a 51.4, so it's not even the L series. These are all was it EF mount, the original DSLR
I think, yeah,
lens?
I know which ones
It's
you're
not
talking
mirrorless.
about, so,
I'm not making money to
Yeah.
buy mirrorless mount lenses right now, but I use a 50, and then I've got a Sigma 24 to 70 2.8. So I have those 3 lenses in my bag.
Yeah.
I've had others in the past. 24 to 70 were good, 2.8 were good, and then 70 to 200. Pair that with a 50. Maybe I might get like a 35 prime, or maybe like I'm kind of liking some super wide angle, like artistic portraits. I might get something that's like a 16 millimeter.
I've been really wanting a 35 right now for the Sony, just because of like the weddings I shoot with.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the portrait wedding machine.
I usually shoot with this 85 or the 50. That's only 2 that I really got. I mean, once I got that 85, that thing is crisp. I mean,
is that what's on there?
Yeah, that's the 85 1.4, and that thing is just. Is a beast, but when you're shooting like some of these wedding videos, they don't have no space at all to shoot.
Yeah, 85 is kind of tight if you're indoors.
It's very
outside,
tight, yeah.
I mean, if you have like ideal situations, you can get insane portraits with it, but that's always kind of scary. I did a handful of weddings back in my day, and shooting with the 50, I always like, 50 is great, but then you are in those one situations where it's like, I can't back up because there's a wall or there's like a bunch of people. So 35 would be nice.
Big wedding parties and stuff. If you get like the 35 1.4, which is going to be as sharp, but it's still going to give you wide. Like you can, and what I really noticed at one of my buddies that he just second shot these last 2 weddings with me. He has a 35 1.4 Sigma that he uses on his Nikon, and when I was looking at his, I was just like, no, this is exactly the focal length I need on it, because we had 6 on each side of the bridal party, and it still made it look like they're crisp, but the background gives that perfect little bokeh that you need and stuff. And I was like, that's what I need. I need it, and I've been obsessed with it and stuff. So, but for the Sony, I'm still like, his is like, he has a Sigma, then he has the adapter on it. So I'm just like, do I do that, or do I just go ahead and get the Sony like prime one and stuff for it? But So you're mainly with Canon.
I've always been with Canon.
Okay, so,
I've used Canon for all of my personal cameras. When I worked at Fairmont State in the marketing department, we had a bunch of Nikon gear, and so I used the Nikon Z series or mirrorless, and then I used their mirrored cameras.
I don't know what's about the state. I think Nikon has a state agreement with West Virginia and stuff.
Do they?
And the reason why you say that and stuff too is because Glenville had Nikons. When I worked at tourism, that's all they had Nikons as well. And when I asked them, I was like, hey, we need to do some upgrades. I mean, the camera is good, but I was like, we could do a lot more and stuff with it. When I was at tourism, they was very like, we have to put a bid in. We have to do like all types of state stuff. So I'm wondering if they have like a state bid for Nikon.
So at Fairmont State, not that I know of, because I think the guy who took the job after me is like migrating to Sony. But I think maybe just someone came through in the 90s and put a hard sell on Nikon for a lot of these folks. So I shot all Nikon, when I was there. And again, like every camera is the same. Buttons are going to be different, and color science is like a little different. To the average user, I can't tell the difference. If you can tell the difference, like congrats, but like
I feel like I can on some people's edits more than how it was actually shot, if that makes sense. Like if they're editing and I see the colors like richer and stuff, I know that it was most likely a Canon. Like Canon is just, their color base is just I'll say that with somebody that knows how to use a Canon too. I will say that, because there's a lot of people that just doesn't even know how to white balance or anything like that with their certain cameras. But like Sony, I can pretty much tell if the video has been shot and stuff, if it was in Sony or Canon. Nikon is I feel like that's the easiest one to realize that it was shot on a Nikon. They take really good photos, but you can just tell that there's just something missing with like maybe the sharpness, or like, I don't even know how to explain it. And so I've shot with all 3, so I think that's the reason why I kind of have like a little bit better in tune with it and stuff. Yeah, do you think you would ever go to Sony?
No, I don't like the
yeah.
ergonomics of Sony. The camera's too small, man. I'm a big dude. I've got big hands. That's why I like the 1DX for so long, because that thing is like a tank.
Yeah.
I got a little tired of it because the camera did weigh like 3 pounds without a lens on it. Dude, with that thing with a 70-200 was like,
yeah,
it
you're
sucked.
weightlifting every single time
it
you're doing
sucked.
a portrait.
But no, I don't like the ergonomics of Sony. It's like too like, it feels like I'm holding like a sandwich or something. And when I'm paying thousands of dollars, I want something that I can like get a better hold of than just like I'm kind of pinching it, you know?
I feel that. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
I had a bunch of buddies that were like early on the Sony when they did the mirrorless, you know, really this mirrorless push in like 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
But
I know I got mine in 2019, so I came down here and I was really scared with it because I knew I was wanting to focus more on video just in my whole creative process. And I had a Canon Mark II for 2 years. I got the same one off of Ben, which is from Mountain Craft. And I had an issue with the shutter, and he hooked me up with one of his, same exact one. And then, but I shot with that type of camera for about 3 to 4 years, and that one doesn't do video, just does photos. So like I never could like really, and I was like, I really want to do video. I want to do like video is really getting to be king on things. I knew at some point I wanted to put more effort into my YouTube channel and stuff like that, and I was like, what's the best option? And for low light, Sony's was just like killer, and at the time it was really good. Now they don't even make that body. It's been completely discontinued and stuff. So but yeah, I'm kind of like you as well. Like, if it's not broke, don't fix it and stuff. And that's the new Sony 4 came out. It looked really cool. Had an awesome shutter, like a faster shutter speed on it. But I'm just like, this is good. Like, I don't need to like, I really don't need it at the same time. But yeah, so you shoot on Canon, and you travel a lot.
Yep.
And so how long you say you've been in West Virginia?
Been in West Virginia since March of 2018. So
2018.
just over 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where are you? And you're originally from like Colorado?
Colorado. Yeah. I moved around a ton as a kid. I was born in Florida. I lived there till I was 3. I then did 2 years in North Carolina. Then I did 2 years in Ohio. And then I was in Colorado from like the year 2000 until midway through high school.
Yeah.
And then I moved back to North Carolina to finish out high school. I played basketball at a prep school in North Carolina. And then I went and spent 2 years at school in Ohio. And then I finished up school in a small town in Kansas and got my master's out there. And then I'm back in West Virginia. So I've made the circle,
dude,
2 times. And now like, I'm in West Virginia, so I hope I don't move back to Ohio again. I don't want to go back to Ohio. But yeah, I've been here since 2018, and this is the longest I've lived anywhere in my adult life. I like it out here quite a bit, man.
Yeah, I'm from a very small town in West Virginia. It's in Calhoun County. So I graduated with 69 people. We didn't have a stoplight. Biggest news for 2 weeks was when Tudor's Biscuit World was opened up.
That's big news.
It is big news, yeah. So it was just like, I love it. It's home, so always will be home. But I was just like, I constantly have this like urge to like, I want to learn more. I want to like I see things, and I'm just like, I question a lot of things. I'm just like, what like why, you know? And so like, that got me to college, even though I went to school at Glenville, and even though it was only 20 minutes away, it was still like, I got to meet people from different places, you know? And directly after college, I went to AB and worked there and stuff. So like, I'm pretty much moving. I've only went like up and down. I haven't went side to side on it, but I've been here in West Virginia like my whole entire life. And my wife and I, we're just like, we don't have kids. We just have a dog and cat. So we're just like, at any point we could go anywhere we want to, but I'm just like, I feel like we both have a lot to offer here because this is still our home and stuff. But when you see a lot of things and the progress, and then some things is feel like it's a step back sometimes. You're just thinking to yourself, you're like, why? Like, there's so many other states that could, like, we could really benefit from and stuff.
Yeah.
But I know for the history side of things is, like, you see all these, like, small towns, especially just driving through, and just, like, these places that's completely wiped from the map. And I know for me as, like, an artist and a creative, like, you don't want to see that, like, completely disappear, you know, and just like that somebody's, like, you know, all their life, all their all that history completely just wiped away. So, like, I feel like that's a part of it, is just to, like, we're still, like, fighting there, you know, for and stuff. So, so you talked about, like, going to some different places in the state and everything. What's your, like, absolute favorite place? I feel like I kind of know it already,
you know,
just because based on your work, but I'm gonna see.
So when you ask this question, I don't think about places to take photos. I love Summersville Lake more than any place.
Okay. All
That's
right.
my favorite lake in the country.
Wrong then.
That's my favorite lake I've ever been to. Dude, swimming out in Summersville Lake, going paddleboarding is, like, that is the, like, number one spot.
Yeah. Okay.
Taking photos, it's going to be Blackwater Falls. It's
Yep.
Thomas, it's Davis. It's that little corridor in between, man. Spent a lot of time out there. It's a great town. I've got some buddies that live out there, and I always like to go check in with them when I'm in town. But, yeah, man, I've been out there, God, it's probably, like, once a month.
Yeah.
I'm out there shooting. It's how far is it from here?
For Blackwater?
Yeah.
Or Summersville?
Blackwater.
Blackwater is about probably 3 hours around the dot.
Ooh, yeah.
So
I'm an hour, like 25.
I went, so funny story, I went last year. Yeah, last year. My buddy and I, we went and hiked the North Fork Mountain Trail up near Seneca, and that's where I lost my drone and stuff too. Oof. So whole YouTube video on it, guys. I'll put the link in the description below. You'll see a live reaction to me. I really didn't freak out, but my buddy was, like, kind of filming, and he thought he didn't know what was going on with it. But we was up there. It was in February. It was raining. It had this amazing, like, misty, like, fog, and I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good. Yeah. Like, I just know it's just coming through. I put my drone in. Everything's good. I looked at it, and, like I said, 89%. GPS is working great. I get it up. I go out 50 feet, and it automatically goes from 89 to 0 and just starts landing. And I was like, and I'm just sitting there, my buddy's just, like, filming a live reaction of me, and then he pans to the dog, and then he pans back to me, and he's like, is that supposed to happen? And I was like, no, man. And then he just pans back to the dog, and he's like, oh, shit. And then you can actually, like, hear him on the camera, and I'm just like, it is what it is. I mean, you know, those things happen when you're out there and stuff, but I was just, like, mind blown. But, like, I loved just that whole, like, that was really cool because I did, like, behind the scenes stuff, and then I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna get some good shots. But, like, Seneca Rocks is, like, one of my favorite places in the state. That whole, like, right there along with you, Blackwater Falls, all of that is just, like, perfect. So, like,
even Dolly Sods is, like, I think it's 40 minutes east of, like, Canaan Valley. Yeah,
all of that's just, like, within an hour from each other. So whenever people we used to have to answer a lot of phone calls and stuff for tourism, and people would call, and I'm just like, I just send them up there. I was like, if you want a good weekend, go there, you know, or if you want to, you know, my second option is, like, go down to Fayetteville, New River Gorge, Summersville, everything's right there and stuff. And those is, like, in my opinion, the two, like, kind of heartbeats of the state and stuff. And and as a photographer, like, you could spend, you know, weeks up there and still not capture everything and stuff too. So, and it depends on what time of year and everything. But, like, Seneca is just, like, people see it, and I just don't think they know how to, like, really grasp the amazing, like, I don't know, features about it and stuff too. And a lot of people just, like, you can climb literally on top. Like,
I haven't. I've been to Seneca 3 times maybe, and we've just, like, swam in the river. I've never been to the top.
Dude.
I'm going this summer.
You gotta be in shape though. Jeez, I did it, dude. My wife and I did it, and it's only, like, I think a mile up, but it's so many switchbacks, and it's just boom, 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 and the incline is just brutal. But there's different options. You can ride horseback all the way up to the top and stuff, and there's, like, a little platform that you can go right out and stuff. But it's definitely a much need. If you go like, I would say in, like, September, like September or May is a bit best. It's not going to be super hot, and then people's going to be there and it gets really crowded for October because of the leaf
Yeah.
peeping and stuff like that. But yeah, I've went probably 8 or 9 times, but I've only clumbed it once because I was like,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I've done it once now and stuff, but I did some really cool spur of the moment night photography there one time. We was coming back from Dallas actually, and we was coming to, there's a little like general store right beside it, and we saw lights up there, and they do those nighttime like climbs, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go see it. So what was really cool is the headlamps we did long exposure, and the headlamps was pretty much exposing the whole entire rock face anyway, so it lit it up and gave us the light that we need.
That's sick.
So
yeah,
I took it. You could see all the stars behind. It worked. I didn't have a tripod, so I had to put it on the Subaru and like kind of like just. It was sketchy, but it was still a really cool shot and stuff. And it was. Nice. I was telling my wife, I was like, just those spur of the moments, just pulling off, just knowing like that. Like I'm never going to forget that compared to something
that's cool, man.
That's like planned and stuff. So you travel, you do, you teach. I saw on your Instagram, you guys just did like a workshop at your guys' studio. So that's 228 Studio. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so 228 is a little project that I opened up in November of 2023. So what has that been? 8 months, I think. God, it's gone by so fast. Opened it up in November of 2023, and it's a hybrid art gallery event venue, and then I also use it as my studio for portrait photography. I've got some seamless and some like lights and all that kind of stuff that I keep hidden in the storage in it. But man, it's been a lot of fun. Opening up an art gallery, work and studio space is something that's always kind of been on a bucket list item for me. It's something that I've always kind of kept my eye on. And with downtown Fairmont, we're kind of at a cool point where there are some other artists. Hannah's Clay Creations, she's an awesome ceramic artist. She just opened up her own live-in studio in downtown. Cool. Loving WV is in the process of opening up their flagship store in downtown. It's downtown Fairmont. There's not a lot of businesses in there right now. We have the Joe, which is a great coffee shop that's been there for, I think it's over 10 years now. But, downtown Fairmont is kind of at this cool point. And it was back in October of last year. I was coordinating a art exhibition, like art gallery night. We had the West Virginia Art Educators Association on campus for a conference, and we wanted to have some kind of community event when that was happening. So I reached out to the building owner and said, hey, like, I know this space is open. It used to be a yoga studio. Could we host an art gallery in there? And they were really, really receptive of it. And so when I got the key and I stepped foot in there, I tried yoga in that space before. I'm terrible at yoga. But when I was in there, like rolling around, groaning like on the ground, trying to do all the different stretches, I kept being like, man, this would be such a sick art gallery because it's high ceilings. It's got a lot of natural light. And so when I stepped foot in there, back in October before our art exhibition, I just immediately was like, all right, what's the specs on this place? Like, what's the rent going for? And so, they were cool enough. They let me sign like a 3-month lease just to do like a little proof of concept. And we extended for the full year in January. And so, in the last 8 months, we've had, I should run the numbers on how many events we've had. It's been a lot. It's like a Friday, Saturday thing for me now. We've had a handful of different art exhibitions. We had Logan Schmidt of Wheeling, who's an awesome illustrator. We currently have a solo exhibition for Parker Shepard.
Let's go. He's going to be on the pod.
Oh, good.
I'm so excited for him.
What up, dude? He's the man. He and I, he's the reason why I went out to go shoot photos at the Northern Lights. Yeah. He posted something on Facebook, and I was like, yo, dude, are you going to go out there? He's like, yeah, I'm going. And I was like, are we really going to see something? And then since he was going out, I ended up going out. And then I got some insane photos.
I think his is scheduled for next week, actually.
Yeah, he's the bro. Good dude.
Dude.
Hard worker, man.
I've spoken to him on like 2 different mindsets, too. Like one being kind of just like a fan or like it was creative. And then I talked to him when I worked at Glenville. I was trying to do an FPV drone flight of the Waco Center there and stuff like that. And so we kind of like talked on business. So I know the business side of him, and I know the creative side of him. And I was just like, I've got to. And then he's been like Croatia for like the
Yeah, he's Croatia, and I don't know where he's at.
Dude, he's all
he was in
place,
Croatia, and then I think the next day he came in to hang up his show in the gallery. Now, it's been cool to watch his journey, man. It's super inspiring. Super hard worker, good dude.
On Instagram when you guys were like posting stories and stuff, and I was like, dude, because like some of his prints like is just, I mean, there's not even like in my mindset like professional like photographers just getting some of the shots that he's getting.
It's nuts.
It's really cool to know that he was like, I don't know, when you see somebody that you know that's going to have a big future and they're starting and they're collabing like with you at the beginning, like to me that's more valuable than like some like you have a part of like launching them in a sense and stuff.
He's a good dude. Really thankful. He was super cool with setting up the gallery and all that stuff and getting his work. But yeah, we've done a couple different art exhibitions. We've done some art markets. We've done a handful of concerts now. We're doing some like live music sessions. Really doing too much. I don't have time for it all. But yourself as like a business owner, I'm sure you can relate. There's like a bit of excitement when the excitement, I think, overrides the exhaustion at times. And so it's been really fun, man. It's, a chance for me to be my own client and to do branding, to do promotional graphics, like design work, to do animation, video, short form, long form, photos, so everything.
Yeah.
And do it all to my own like brand and to my own creation. It's been super rewarding. It's been a lot of fun because the last couple of years, all the work that I do, I've had great clients and they let me have a lot of creative freedom. But to have my own entity, my own brand, and be able to like go from coming up with the name to like coming up with assets to like designing merch. I think I'm wearing one of the hats. I'd like coming up with like merch and stuff. Hit us up. Big Cartel, 228.
I'm gonna have to get one actually.
I should have brought something.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about because that's whenever I created this podcast, it was the same exact thing. Fun fact, Pull Focus was not going to be the name until the day of. And I was like, I got to figure it out because I got to do an introduction. I was like, I'll do the logo tonight and whenever I post it and launch it. And it was been a project for me for about like, I've been wanting to do it for like 8 months to a year. And I was just like, I got to do it. And I'm so glad I didn't go with this. But like, I always say like, when people's like, oh, how you doing? I'm just like, oh, I'm vibing and thriving. That's originally what I was going to call it. I'm really glad I didn't because I look back and I'm just like, it's just not what this is about. And then I was trying to think, I was like, what do I want to do? And I chose Pull Focus because of the fact that, it's a term for photographers and videographers. And whenever we do it, we have a certain vision that we're trying to capture with it. And that is ultimately what I'm trying to do with this is a certain vision. The vision is putting people on that platform and stuff. So, but it's been, I know exactly because I was like, okay, what colors I want to go with this. And so we kind of chose like olive green and yellow. I also feel like that's pretty neutral because I want it to be men and women alike to be on here. And I just wanted to like, continue to grow. I'm still learning so much with it because one of my goals for this is that I never want to do a podcast just by myself. So I want to continue to bring artists. I want to continue to always have a guest and stuff. So I'm just, sometimes I'm just like trying to figure out like, okay, do I need to edit more? Do I need to do this and stuff like that? But I'm getting into a good rhythm of knowing how to edit them now. And then I started doing like short form. So now I'm doing like, okay, each one I want to pull like 2 to 3 moments out of it. That way I can create TikToks. And
clip it out,
reels.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And stuff. So now I'm trying to like, get to it and stuff. And it's crazy that we've already done 11 episodes. And I'm just
That's
like,
nuts, man. Yeah.
And just like, it's insane.
That's cool.
Insane. I was going to do just 10 episodes one season and then pick it back up in the fall. And halfway through, I was like, no, I'm just going to keep it going. Just keep it going until I can't really anymore and stuff. And Megan, another thing too, guys, if you are watching, this whole podcast is sponsored by Megan Nicole Photography. Her link's going to be in the description below. And what's really good is you can come in here, you can do maternity, you can rent it out, you can do portraits, boudoir, you can do mommy and me sessions. You can pretty much do anything you want. Just go to her website, book it and give her some business as well.
Yeah, this is a beautiful space.
Yeah,
It's the real deal, man.
I always saw it online too, and I didn't realize how big it was. Like you could probably do 3 to 4 different scenes in here in one day if you needed to. So
book a shoot with
yeah,
it for sure.
yeah.
This place is sick.
Yeah. So yeah, your studio, dude, is I'll have to come up and visit it for sure. Man. I'm supposed to be up there. I'm supposed to be up there on this Saturday. I have to be up outside of Morgantown, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we're open Saturday, downtown Fairmont. They're doing like a Pride event from 10 to 4 maybe. So we'll be there. I'll be there middle of the day. Parker's exhibition's gonna be up. Yeah, come swing by, dude.
Yeah, dude. I'll definitely have to. I have to do weddings, but I'm not for sure what time they.
That's a long day.
Yeah. I'm just going with the flow for most of it and stuff. I have that's another thing too is about the rhythm. I did my 68th wedding this last weekend.
Nice.
So I'm just like, okay, I've done it before. Just kind of like get into it and go. And it was crazy. I was kind of be honest with you, I was super anxious about this last wedding, and then it turned out to be one of the best ones of probably in the last 20 that I've kind of like shot. And it was just in a random spot, and I was just like, oh man, like I don't know about this. And the couple was just like great. The girl, she looked just like Sabrina Carpenter, so like it was just like her eyes just popped, and I was just like, it wasn't like harsh light. It was just kind of like a day like today, and it just kind of worked, So, but yeah, so you have done. Have you worked with any like film cameras before, or have you done any of that type of like developing?
Yeah, so I studied photo in college for my undergrad degree, and we started off, it was all like dark
I didn't know
room.
that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
It was all dark room stuff. That being said, I'm bad at it.
Yeah.
I like what I like about photography isn't like this. I'm a fast photographer, which is probably, it's just my style. And so when it comes to like really slowing down, I would always get frustrated because I'd screw up developing. I'd scratch up my negatives, or I could never get my enlarger to get like tack sharp. And so for me, like film photography was like a bit of I wanted to love it. It got me kickstarted back into photography, but it introduced me back into digital. So I'm not like a purist photographer. And then now, I have a film camera, like a Canon. I forget which one it is. I used to have the Canon EOS 1, which is like essentially the 1DX of the film. And so it was like this big full body. I love that thing. I'd put my 7200 on it and have fun with it. The shutter went out on it. The battery is like melted. And, if I'm being honest, I'm not getting back into it again. The prices are too steep.
Yeah.
As I am progressing like with my own photography, I'm kind of moving back into this like mixed media lane where it's like collaging, digital painting, and like screen printing. And so what I'm looking for with the medium right now in photography isn't what's going to be found with film. And so for the sake of budget, I'm kind of staying away from it.
I feel you.
But I do. I follow a lot of film photographers. A lot of my buddies are still currently in film and shoot film all the time, and I really appreciate that art form. For me, it's not what I'm drawn to in photography. I look at photographs as ways to create like supplemental material for another piece, whether it's like a digital collage or I'm working on a series now of like physical collages, like screen prints and on canvases and like panel boards. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for now. So I have experienced film in the past. It was not a good experience. And now with it being so expensive, I'm probably going to stick away. But again, like I love it. I think it's beautiful. I love the colors you get from it. And I like the idea that the colors are authentic to the film stock and not like synthetic. I think there's something cool about that honesty, but
yeah, that's a very good point, actually. I know when I both worked for those universities, I always like going to their archives and everything and seeing some of the old print because it was just amazing. And I would kind of like geek out when I seen it because like those guys, we have a camera that's like, a a pound or so, but they're going to be lugging this whole entire like
Yeah.
thing around. You know, what I mean, it's a whole different mindset, and then you see the aerial photos too. Like you gotta understand, like they're in an airplane, they're up there with this camera. I don't know. It's just like the environment.
Yeah,
It's something I can't comprehend. You know.
No, we're standing on the shoulders of people that are like significantly more talented and smarter than me. I'm doing fine with like a digital camera, but 100 years ago, if I was out there with like a big, plate 8x10 or something, like I'd be shining shoes or something. I couldn't be doing that, man.
That's so funny though. Like, but yeah, I didn't know that's what your undergrad was in. Mine's in studio art, so I had to take a couple like I had to take like a photography 101 and like filmmaking 101 class, and that's kind of like sort of sparked my interest back into it. And I turned out I was better at that than my actual studio art. So I was just like, okay, I'll just kind of like dive into that. And then, but they didn't offer any type of like actual like developing or darkroom experience. And really, I'm interested about it, but I'm on the same like page as you. It's like, I want to know how to do it, but I also don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm perfectly happy with popping an SD card in and going and stuff. So
it's an art form, like, and it's when it's done well, like again, like some of my favorite photographers are film shooters. But that's just not from my personal practice. It's not like what interests me in photography is I have like, quick moving brain where I'm like, I want to shoot this, I want to shoot that, I want to shoot that. And so I know the whole process of like slowing down for film is good for you, but just with like my artistic journey, I've tried it in the past. It just doesn't connect with me, but I love seeing a nice film photograph,
I think it also depends on like what the project is too, in a sense. Like if you're doing like more of a director of photography for like a certain project and you're trying to like figure out like certain locations, I think it's like really good. But no, that's very interesting. So you haven't done film, you shoot with Canon, you got your own studio, you've been traveling. Anything else that you're just kind of like been obsessed with lately, and you're just like, because I know you talked a little bit about the collages and the illustration part of it, and I feel like the last year or so you really started posting a lot more of those and everything. Is that just all done on your iPad? And
it's all digital now. That's something. So my undergrad was in photography, and then my grad degree, my MFA, was in it was like studio art, but it was an interdisciplinary study. And so what
we kind of did like the opposite.
So,
okay,
that's funny. So and that was kind of combining. So like growing up, I would always like steal the camera from my mom when she had it and like shoot photos. And I got my first iPhone when I was in high school, and that like really opened up. I just started taking photos of everything, around me. But I was really, I wasn't interested in photography. I was really interested in street art and in painting. And, I did a bunch of like graffiti. I did murals for some different like businesses and schools and stuff when I was in high school, and then like early in college. And it was when I transferred. I went to school in Ohio for a couple of years at Miami University, and then I transferred to a little small D2 school out in Kansas. And when I was transferring out there, I needed an art credit. I was going to study graphic design, and took a photo class just on a whim and kind of fell in love with that. And so when I was in grad school, I wanted to kind of tap back into that. Like that, 2D painting, that style of art in addition to like digital photography. And so I started this journey of, making marks on the image and combining like additive brush strokes and like colors that aren't in the natural like photograph. And so this was in 2016, and the iPad Pro like just came out. And I scored a great deal in 2017, I believe, on last year's iPad Pro model. And for me, having the ability to work with my photographs and, create these like surreal spaces where you have like all this energetic line, these complementary colors and adding into like the composition, it was something that really kind of kickstarted this new process for me creatively. And so, I did that throughout my graduate studies and really started working with this like digital collage process. But then when I graduated, I worked for the university up at Fairmont State for about 4.5 years, and I kind of put that on hold. It wasn't until this last year or 2 years ago, I guess now, when I stopped working, I transitioned to teaching full time, that I really started up my own like creative practice and started exploring these ideas of like mark and the juxtaposition of the two, this expressive high energy line with, the clean, composed photograph. And that's been something that I've just kind of been exploring over the last year, more heavily so. And then, I taught myself screen printing over Christmas break. Had a good friend of mine kind of show me the ropes, and then I just spent a bunch of hours screen printing on like garments. And then now I'm working on creating some like original pieces, kind of taking from that the digital style and trying to put it on some like physical surfaces.
So do you do that for like businesses and stuff too, or is it more just the creative process of knowing how to do it?
It's just creative process, knowing how to do it. A lot of stuff, I've been fortunate to just do all this just as like, my own creative expression. It's making stuff for the gallery. I screen print all the t-shirts and design all the merch. And
that's what I was thinking. I was like, dude, I might have to hook you up with some pull focus merch and stuff. Get you guys do some of that. But
it's been really rewarding, to just again try and blend mediums as much as I guess, I have been a photographer. In the last year, I would say I'm more so shifting into tapping into the art forms that really like sparked my creative process, which is like, acrylic paints, screen printing, all that kind of stuff.
I know when I was in college, I enjoyed oil painting probably the best. I didn't like ceramics class.
I'm terrible at building stuff like that. Yeah,
I felt like I was too fast paced for that. Like it felt like a slower type of art form and stuff as well. And I would say also, I didn't like drawing. I liked charcoal though in a sense because I felt like it was pretty good, but no, I liked oil. I did a lot of my stuff in my gallery because when you graduate you gotta do like an internship or like a gallery, and I did a gallery, and I love food, so like I did it was a 12-foot donut that was oil.
Nice.
And stuff, and like the sprinkles on it was just gobs of just oil and oil
that's cool
and stuff. But one layer I actually painted it. The brush that I used was a glazed donut, so I would just dab it in, and I would just like dab it and stuff. So that was a really cool mindset and stuff. But food. I was trying to think like a lot of the stuff I did in my undergrad was like food related and stuff too. But even like I have a tattoo of a cheeseburger like right here on my thigh, so like it was just I got that when I was in Hawaii, so it was just I don't know, it's just cool. But yeah, I would say oil is definitely my favorite. I would like to like see some of my pieces I've done in like photography, and like it was neat. It was last year. It was cool because I actually had a girl, a bride and stuff. They did an engagement photo. One of the ones I shot, they had an oil artist paint like their portrait from one of my photos. So that was a really cool like moment because you're just like, oh, this is like
breaking down mediums. Cool.
And I was really neat to see that and stuff. But yeah, is there anybody that you want to shout out, or anybody you want to like really give some thanks to, or inspiration, or you have any words of wisdom, advice,
Oh, brother. There's a lot of people to shout out, man. When I kind of started my photo journey more seriously in like the year 2013, had a little crew of guys in Colorado I used to shoot with. And so that's like my buddy Garrett and Adrian. They're both up in New York City now. Garrett, his Instagram short stash, he's like sneakily one of the most like influential photographers on social media now.
Yeah.
It's nuts. It's really been cool to see his journey and to see the quality of content that he puts out. He's been a great inspiration for me. It's, seeing Parker's growth, P-Shep FPV over the years has been super inspiring. And then I'm trying to think, another photographer that I every time he puts something up is just like, it blows me away, is Louis Nice. He's Zach Bryan's photographer, and he shoots all film.
Yeah.
And I first started following him. We saw Zach Bryan in 2021, like on his first tour. And it wasn't like a very big venue. And I saw this dude like running around with a medium format camera. And I was like, that's kind of cool at a concert. And so, we connected over social media, and just like seeing him like at the shows, the compositions that he's pulling with like wide angle medium format and like really, really cool stuff.
Another person that, as soon as you said, I was going to say like the media for like country music artists right now has been probably the best it has ever been. And
Tyler Childers' photographer, she's nice, dude.
Tim McGraw's photographer, which is his name's Tyler Conrad. I've followed him a long time, and he has been killing it for Tim McGraw this year and stuff. Like,
that's cool.
And what's really good on his Twitter, he'll like break down like, this is how we got this shot. Like his next album coming out, he shot it with one light, and their tour bus is the cover of.
Yeah,
he's laying on this he's just sitting on this couch, and he has like this really cool like orange like filter over just like a primary light, and he breaks it down. He's like, I only had like 10 minutes. Tim was about to walk out, and then he's like, no, we're going to use that for the album cover.
That's
and
sick.
Now he's like, I was just thinking, I was like blown away. But that process part, that's cool. But all of those are just like, they're killing it. Warren Zeters was just down here. I watched him last week, and his social media too is just like, it's color graded good, and he has one guy, and he was just, I watched that guy film Warren more than I watched Warren that night, because I'm just sitting there, I was like, oh, what's he doing? And he has one setup, and then when you see it on social media the next day, you're just like, yep, I know how that was filmed, I know all that and stuff. So like, he's killing it. Like all these, like, I don't know, it's just, it's really cool to see like some of that stuff is just like really blossoming in front of us and stuff. But yeah, you have any advice maybe, or any inspirational words?
Oh boy, inspiration. My advice would be, dude, just take your own journey when it comes to making art. For a while, I think it's kind of slowed down, but in like 2017, 2019, photography online got like super gatekeepy and really like, well, if you're, if you're not shooting film, then you're not making art. And like, it got really snobby. And I hated that, because, everyone's journey is going to look different. Everyone photography is such a wide medium, dude. You can shoot portraits, you can shoot landscapes, you can shoot events. There's so much you can do. And so, what I want to tell everyone who shoots a photo is that your journey's not going to look like someone else's. Your success story is not going to look like someone else's success story. A lot of people get it stuck in their head that if they're not doing, X amount of commercial shoots, then they're not this or they're not that. And in reality, if you're happy, if you're shooting photos and you feel creatively fulfilled, like what more can you ask for? I know a lot of folks, there's that idea of like working at some company and having to do, some sort of like in the field creative job. You have to be working in like digital marketing, doing photo for this X or Y brand. And while that might be fulfilling for some, like I know a handful of people that have left those roles because it's not what they're looking for. And so what I just want to encourage everyone who's watching this is that, your metric of success is going to look different than others. And for some of you, just having a job that gives you the freedom to go out on the weekends and shoot photos might be your most successful version. For myself, I was shooting photos full time for the university, and I got super burnt out. I didn't take photos at all anymore. And so now to be able to transition away, while I still am like very fortunate to be involved in the art space by, being an educator, I have a role that allows me the freedom to do my own practice. And so I just want to, challenge whoever's watching this in whatever stage they might be in their career, that, really make sure that you're able to like set time for yourself to realize your own creative projects, and to not allow comparison to like someone else's journey play into your definition of success, because that's all we see on social media. Is we see other people's accounts, we see their trips, we see their like numbers, we see their client list. It's really easy to compare to that. But at the end of the day, if you can just get out, you can have the time to creatively express yourself and to share your work with others, like find the joy in that. And then you're just, you're going to blossom.
Right. Well, Jared, it's been amazing to just have you here and just chat. Meeting for the first time has been awesome as well. As always, guys, all of his information is going to be located in the description below. Make sure you follow him on Instagram. Make sure you follow him on YouTube as well. He does have a YouTube channel. I don't know how active
Not active
on it, but let's try to give him
Yeah.
some love on everything there as well. And then if you guys want to catch up on past episodes, make sure you subscribe and like the video as well. As always, never stop creating, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, guys. See ya.